Staying with the story, members of the Eminent Persons Group, Lindiwe, Mazibuko, says the National Convention is a foundational step setting agenda for the long journey ahead. And she says the convention is owned by the people of South Africa and it is important that their voices be heard. Mazibuko was speaking at the National Convention gathering at the University of South Africa in Pretoria. Now, project leader of Indlulamiti South Africa Scenarios, Xolelwa Kashe-Katiya, joins us now via our video link for more on this conversation. Xolelwa, thank you so much for your time this evening here on SABC News. I mean, let's start off here. I know that we're going to deal with the issues of, the National Convention, but something that came out today, right, is the issue around the Deputy President and the current acting President, Paul Mashatile, and some criticisms coming through saying that he was not present at some of the engagements taking place at the National Convention. Do you think that this was a missed opportunity for the Deputy President? Xolelwa, could you please unmute yourself?
Yes, good evening. Sorry about that. And good evening to the viewers at home. And thanks for having me. I think the Deputy President did what he's capable of. Because we do know that we do have the challenge, or the challenges that we have of leadership. It's something that, as the scenarios, we've even flagged as one of the key driving forces in terms of our pathways towards the future, the fact that we've got a leadership crisis. But in terms of the dialogue itself, I think considering that, which is a fact that we have, to have a deputy president sitting through 2 days, lots and lots of ministers, deputy ministers in the room, sitting side by side with ordinary citizens. I think this is something that is actually quite groundbreaking, and also the conversations were quite robust. And even without going to the breakaway sessions, just the plenary alone, citizens, I think, demonstrated their active citizenship because they demanded the space, they created the space, they drove the agenda, even with all those, VIPs and eminent persons in the room. So I think enough was done, enough was achieved, and enough was ventilated in his presence.
Yeah, and Xolelwa, I mean, going into this National Convention, a lot of criticisms coming through, and I mean, even the conversations being had on the ground, there was still a lot of hostilities towards this National Convention. And taking a look at what transpired over the past 2 days, would you say that it really hashed out some of the serious issues that we need to deal with as a country? And do you think that it was also able to achieve, some of its objectives despite the criticisms coming out from many quarters?
I think the main achievement, in my view, is the fact that it happened. It's been long coming. It's over 30 years that we've been waiting for a national dialogue where we can actually have conversations about our national questions, to have conversations about our history, to have conversations about our common vision. 30 years on, it has happened. The fact that it has happened alone, I think that's encouraging. And I mean, everyone who was in the room was not really in support of what is happening. There was a lot of stone throwing, and I think that was a second success where those delegates were given the space to ventilate. And sometimes very repetitive, but there was an understanding that it's 30 years of anger that's been building up. So there was a lot of contestation. There were so many scuffles. I mean, just to reflect on day one, just at the beginning, the program could not start because someone had a medical emergency, even though the state machinery was still trying to proceed with the program as they usually choreograph these kinds of things. But you found that the delegates refused and they did not allow them to proceed, which was very encouraging. I mean, you even had to have the artists that were in the room also joining in, and a moment was created where you could see us as, in our true form as South Africans. It was very encouraging. Very chaotic, but I think in all the chaos, something very organic, emerged. And I think the South Africanness in us emerged. And by the time it was day 2, these behaviors were expected. As I was saying, many scuffles. There was one yesterday which unfolded on stage. We had a protest outside. I was even saying I was disappointed at the size because it was so small. Because as I was driving to the venue, I expected a huge crowd of people because it's been contested so much. But also, another surprising turn was how the room was full again on day 2. We know in any conference or gathering, day 1 where there's the president, that's when everybody's there, the media is there. But today it was as full as it was yesterday. And we still had even opposition party leaders in the room. Everyone was still there. The deputy president was there. We had ministers there. Even when the deputy president tried to leave the room, he was forced by the citizens to come back and to listen to the narratives that maybe were not comfortable for him to listen to. I don't know, but it could have been something else. But I think it was a demonstration that there's potential to really have a citizen-led process.
Yeah, and Xolelwa, what does this then say about the upcoming national dialogue that will eventually be held? I mean, you are talking about a situation where there was uncomfortable conversations taking place, and it was necessary because with uncomfortable conversations, there's a number of issues that need to be confronted. What can we expect then from the broader national dialogue?
I think the first thing that has to happen is the confirmation of the steering committee. Because remember, this steering committee is what would then replace that planning task team that fell apart with the pulling out of the foundations, because they were part of the planning task team. So then an interim organizing committee emerged in the past week or so, and they made the event happen. But the idea was that even that PTT was supposed to hand over to a steering committee that would be from the floor. So all those participants that were there would then recommend the steering committee. However, people understood that we don't know each other, and we can't say just because you were too loud, then you're the one who's going to represent the LGBTQI, or if you said this about school children, then you automatically the representative of children and youth. So largely there was a sense that let's have an interim, so all the sectors broke away today.
All right.
And they had interim people. And the one that I attended, people actually volunteered themselves with the view that they will then bring in others in their same sector that they know who were not part of the conversation, so that it's even more inclusive than it was today. And then after that, then it's about taking it to ward level, but being driven by the steering committee.
All right. Xolelwa, thank you so much for your time. That's Xolelwa Kashe-Katiya. She is the project leader for Indlulamiti South Africa scenarios.